Welcome back to the Hurry Between podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Jones, and I'm so happy you're here with me today. Y'all, it's episode 7. I feel like I get excited every time I say the number of the episode because episode 7, we've sat on this couch 7 times to talk. And I love that for us. And I love that we keep coming back to each other. It feels so good. It feels so good. We are committed. We're in a committed relationship. No. Anyways, what's up, y'all? It's actually not the usual time that I record. I actually am still in my gym clothes. Peep this if you're watching the YouTube video. Honestly, I've been working all day. Well, the day isn't over, but I've been working, haven't had a chance to shower. Oh gosh, this is real. And I decided I'm going to hop on the mic because I'm going to be tired when it becomes nighttime and I don't want to push this off and not do it until the morning because tomorrow is another crazy day for me. So, anyways, today we will be talking about something that just popped up in my head while I was on the way back from the gym, and that is self commitment, honoring self commitment. It's funny how it's easy to keep the promises that you make to other people. We still feel like that sometimes, but like, hey, I'm gonna be there for you. Hey, you're even at work, like, I'm gonna turn in this proposal on this day. I'm going to deliver this deliverable on this day. Hey, you're having a birthday dinner. I'll be there. You need me to come to your basketball game? I'm there. Oh, you need help with this? I find that sometimes it's easier to commit to others than it is to commit to ourselves. And I don't know why it's like that. Well, a couple things come to my mind, but this episode is about keeping the promises we make to ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we will always be worth committing to. And when I say you will always be worth committing to, I don't necessarily mean that in regards to somebody else. I mean, looking in the mirror, me to me, Kelly, you are worth committing to. We all know it's important to keep promises that we make to ourselves, but sometimes we don't know why. Like, why is it important? Like, what is the power behind keeping the promises that you make to yourself? So, yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. I don't think this is going to be too long of an episode. But I say that every single episode and it ends up being like 30 to 45 minutes. But I really feel like we're just going to get into this. I think sometimes why it's easier to break the promises we make to ourselves is because it's just us. Like, it's just me and me. And so I don't feel like I'm letting anybody down, even though you're letting yourself down. I don't feel like there's going to be too many repercussions because it's just me. And when you're letting other people down, you're going to hear about it, or they're going to say something to you, or you're going to have to clean it up afterwards. But when it's just you, it's like, we'll try again later. But the more promises you break that you've made to yourself, make it harder for you to trust yourself. We're going to share 4 reasons why keeping the promises we make to ourselves is important. It's important to keep the promises to yourself because it builds self-trust. When you keep the promises that you make to yourself, it builds a confidence. It builds that self-trust within yourself. It reminds you that, hey, I am capable. It builds a confidence in your decisions and your abilities. So when you make a promise to yourself and you do it, it says, yeah, I'm about that. Like, I'm about what I say I'm about, even when nobody is watching. Because a lot of the promises we make to ourselves, other people aren't included. But when you know at the end of the day, you did what you said you were going to do for yourself, that gives you big dog status. And when you give yourself big dog status, it literally, I feel like, changes the way that your brain sees yourself. And so, number one reason why it's important to keep promises that you make to yourself is because it builds self-trust. And you want to be able to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, it can take you so far. And that's something that I'm learning about myself even in the gym. When I write my gym schedule out for the week, I usually keep the same gym schedule for 3 months at a time. But when I write it out and I do what I say I'm going to do, like today, for instance, when I was struggling to get to the gym, yet I managed to go. Now, in this moment right now, I realize that tomorrow, when I have that feeling that I don't really want to go, I got to just look back on this day where I pushed myself so hard to go and know that no, yesterday I did it. Yesterday I kept the promise to myself. I came through and I committed. And so today, the next day when I feel like I don't want to go again, I'll just remember this time. And remember, I'm a woman of my word. I trust myself. And so, yeah, it builds confidence. I want you to remember a time that you kept a promise to yourself. Didn't it make you feel good? Didn't it make you feel like, dang, I did it? It feels so sweet. All right. Second one is that it it fosters personal growth. It allows you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. The more that you do something, the more that you say yes when it's hard, the more that you um, go hard even when nobody's watching, the more you you push even on the days that you feel like I cannot do this. That is where the growth happens. The growth does not happen when the promise is easy. Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that just hit me. So, ooh, yeah, the growth happens when the promise is not easy. When the promise is not easy, when you have made a promise to yourself and it is challenging to keep, that is where the growth is. And so, point number two, why it's so important for us to keep the promises we make to ourselves is because that is where personal growth happens. Yeah, that's it. That is where the growth happens. The growth doesn't happen when the promise is easy. Like, I'm even looking at this podcast, just being real. When I made the first episode, that was easy. I'm going to tell y'all, like, I was excited. The high was there. Everybody was cheering me on. Like, when is it dropping? Where is it? Oh my gosh. I'm going to tell you by episode 3 or 4, I can't really remember. It started getting hard. Not because I don't enjoy it, just because there's so much that takes place to make it happen. I've got to set up the camera. I've got to put some time aside to edit. I got to make sure the reel is right. I got to make sure I cut out as much as I got to make sure I cut out the ums and the ahs, even though I don't even be cutting out all of them, but I cut out a lot of them because I talk a lot with the ah, ooh, ah, okay, so cut all of that out. It has gotten hard. And I really want to tell you, if you're working on something or if you want to build something, if you want to put something in this world, I need you to understand that you're going to have to make a lot of promises to yourself to make that happen. And this is the thing, as adults, we're not going to have somebody poking us and knocking on our door to make sure that we're doing these promises that we keep to ourselves. But I am here to tell you that if you have promises that you make to yourself, I want you to know just because it's challenging and hard to keep the promise that you make to yourself doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It's just we're human and it gets challenging. But if you push, I promise you, if you push past that hard feeling, if you push past that feeling of, I don't feel like it, you will be able to create something great because you are worth committing to. The things that you desire, those things where you got to keep promises to yourself for them to come alive, they're so worth it. And I want you to know that all you got to do is push and just do it. Sounds easier said than done, but I promise you, it is so worth it. And so, yeah, I feel like so much growth has happened, even just within this podcast, from me pushing and making the promise that I made to myself that I'm going to record something every single week, even if it's not fully prepared. None of my episodes are really prepared, if you couldn't tell. Most of them, I'm just hopping on the track. I might start to plan them out. That's my goal. But right now with my life, I need to just build the habit of hopping on this camera and talking, hopping on this mic and talking. I want you to be able to share how, because you showed up every day, every week, that you grew. And growth isn't always numbers, growth is also internal. Maybe it pushed you to realize that you do have a voice. You showed up every day on your mic, on your camera. You showed up every day doing that promise that you made to yourself. And in 6 months, you get to talk about something. Your story gets to change. Yeah. When you hear about somebody's story changing, it's because they showed up every day, even when they didn't feel like it. And so, yeah, you are worth committing to. There is your future self that needs you to commit to that thing that you said you were going to commit to. And even outside of yourself, there are people, there is a generation that's not even here yet that is dependent on you keeping that promise that you made to yourself. I think that sometimes that's a better way to look at it, is that it's bigger than you. And so, yeah, that always hits me, is that there's somebody else dependent on me doing what I said I was going to do. That hits so hard. Ooh, that hits so hard. Bruh, that always hits me. Is that this isn't even about me always. Sometimes some of the promises I make to myself are like, oh, Kellē, you promised you were going to shave. Didn't feel like it, but you need to shave tonight so you're not rushing tomorrow when you got to wear the dress, and you're not rushing trying to shave and you cut yourself. Sometimes it is about me. Reason number 3, why keeping promises to yourself are important, is because it nurtures self-love and compassion. When you keep promises that you make to yourself, I feel like it's a form of I love you. It's a form of like self-love, because you got to think about it. When you love somebody, you want to build trust with them. You want to do things that say, hey, I love you. And so when you make a promise to yourself and you do it, that's a way to say, I love you. Kellē, you are worth committing to. I'm going to keep my word with you. You're important. I see you as valuable and I want to honor you. I don't want to brush you off. I don't want to put you second. I don't want to lie to you. I want to commit to you because you are worth commitment and I love you. If you have lived long enough, you know when somebody tells you that they love you, it's not just a word. Love is a verb. Love commits. Love keeps their promises. Love is trust. Love is all of those things. So what we just said, I love you, consists of when we're talking to other people, I love you consists of those same things when we're talking about ourselves. And so when you learn to commit to yourself and keep promises to yourself, you also nurture compassion for yourself. You say, I am important. So yeah, Yeah, self-love is not just uh face mask, lotioning, getting nails done. Self-love is also doing what I said I am gonna do to myself. Self-love is is bigger than that. Self-love is um being about it, not lying to me. So yeah, this was a quick episode, short and sweet, but sometimes you don't need a lot of words to get your point across. That's a word. Anyways, I wanted to end this episode with um a creed that I wrote for myself. And I want to share it with you. And I hope that you can feel this and that um, you leave this episode knowing that you are worth committing to and that you're so important, you're so valuable, and you're so worth it. So you're not only worth committing to in the eyes of other people, but you need to be worth committing to in the eyes of yourself. I want you to see yourself like that. Ultimately, that's how God wants you to see yourself. When He looks at you, He goes, "Oh, you are worth committing to. You are not a second choice. You are first." So I want to say this creed, can say it together, but yeah, I sometimes struggle to even believe these words. But I know that they're true for me, and I know that they're true for you. Even when it's hard, I want you to try to believe what I'm about to say to you. And so if you need to write these down, um, feel free. If you need me to send this to you, I can. But this is something that some days it's going to be really hard for you to say this to yourself. But I want you to know, even on those days, it's true. And while we're walking through this life, we got to learn to believe this. So let's get into it. I am worthy of keeping the promises I make to myself, for I am deserving of love, respect, and honor. I acknowledge that my promises hold power, guiding me towards growth, fulfillment, and purpose. With each commitment I hold, I affirm my integrity, aligning my actions with my values and beliefs. I embrace the journey of self-commitment, knowing that it is a testament of my resilience and strength. I choose to show up for myself day in and day out, knowing that my promises pave the way to my dreams. I trust in my ability to keep my word, for I am worthy of the love and dedication I give to myself and others. I commit to treating myself with love, compassion, and grace, embracing my imperfections and celebrating my victories. I am honoring my promises and I affirm my worthiness of commitment. I am worthy of keeping the promises that I make to myself. So, yeah. I hope that you enjoyed that. That was something different, but yeah, ooh, that was fun. Anyways, thank you all so much for coming to episode 7 of the Her in Between podcast. It's been such an honor to be here. Thank you all for being here for me. Thank you for encouraging me and pushing me. You guys just don't know. Like, you just genuinely have no idea how hard it is sometimes for somebody to show up for themselves. Like, it could be something little, but like, it's hard. It can be challenging. And so I just thank you all for encouraging me and showing up and cheering me on. It feels so good. And I hope I can reciprocate that. Yeah. So if you ever feel like you're doing too much cheering somebody on, I want you to know you're not. Keep cheering whoever that is in your life on, because it feels good. So thank y'all for being here for me. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and on Instagram too. And we drop this podcast on pretty much whatever platform you need to listen to podcasts on, mostly Spotify and Apple Music. So yeah, check us out on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We're there every week, baby. I'm still trying to get the guest list together. So yeah, it's been solo episodes for now. I need to clean this room up because they're supposed to be coming up here when we do episodes, and this room is looking like no sir. Anyways, I love y'all and thank y'all for being here. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. I need to change out of my workout clothes. See ya.